Good day and happy holidays to everyone here today. Thank you guys so much for being here today and joining us. And we are gradually winding down to the end of 2024 and ushering in, welcoming 2025. And we know that 2025 is going to be a better and a greater year. So thank you guys. And I'm wishing everyone here happy, thankful, thriving Thursday. And I appreciate everyone here because appreciation to me is the biggest thing that I can ever do, because without you guys, I will never be here. I will not even be able to reach children, women, and young people in the world. And we can do this when we come together and be determined that we want to change the story. We want to change the dynamics as it pertains to children, women, and young people. We want to rewrite the story, doing so with love, with persistent, consistent action, because these are children. These are human beings. They deserve better. They deserve that freedom that we all were created, we all were born with. They deserve to live in dignity. They deserve to live in the confines and privacy and safety of their own homes without being violated, without all the other things that challenge them. And so we are here to do that, doing so, doing it to ourselves first. Because if you do not heal yourself, if you don't find that safety for yourself, you don't eat well, you do not have shelter over your head, you really don't do the things that you're supposed to do, you cannot be able to help any other person. And like Mr. Ashman Farah says, do it first for yourself. Do it first for yourself, because self-love is number one. If you don't do it for yourself, you will not be able to do it for another, because nobody can give out of what they don't have. When you see people being sick, that's sickness. They're surely going to talk to you about sickness. When you see people being hungry, they're going to want food to eat. Or some will be stealing and then will be labeling them because they're hungry. Somebody's hungry, they have to eat. Otherwise, there's nothing they can do. And if a child wants to go to school, they're crying to go to school. I used to cry to go to school. When I see people go, I say, I want to go, I want to go. I follow people around, If
Yeah.
have that safety first for them, we don't have the means to educate them, it's going to be difficult. It is on those that premise that One Global Movement stands, that if these three things, trying to help children, young people, and women eradicate hunger, illiteracy, and poverty, if these three things don't work together, it's going to be difficult for any other thing to work. And it cannot work without building a community that is dedicated, a community that is doing so with divine intervention, not just doing it, a community that is doing it from the heart, which is what we are here today. And thank God that we are brought together, Mr. Ash Mufara. So today is going to be a very interesting topic, and it's going to be from my perspective, from how I experience it. It's going to come from my family, because that is what runs in my family for more than 6, 7, 800 years. And so the history gets passed down to one another. For me, I am the bearer now. My son is the next. And when he has children, it continues to be that way. And so you're going to find a lot of the things that we're going to discuss here today. It's going to have some relationship with adoption or foster parenting, because that's the way that things are with human being. One thing relies on the other. It's just like the organs of your system, your stomach. Or if one organ is not working because it relies on the other one to work, then there is going to be a problem. That is why taking care of our body holistically, or taking care of these children and women holistically, is what is required. Because if one part is not functioning well, the other would not function well. It's just like here. When I come on here and I don't see our beautiful sister with me, I begin to tense up. I'm like, oh my God, then I'm just going to be by myself, She's here. And when I see people in the chat, I'm like, yes, the backbones of One Global Movement for children are here. So that is such a beautiful thing to know, because there's nothing out there but this. So we are in the Mantle of Hope Revolution Part 275. We're going back. We were supposed to have done this shadow adoption in November, but we had a lot of activities for One Global Movement. So, but this is not something that we can leave out as we enter 2025, we have to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, December 12th, that was when we are supposed to do it.
Yes.
No,
No, November 25th, we were supposed to
November
do it.
25th, we're supposed to do it. Then
Mhm.
we're doing it today. And so
Yeah.
November is National Adoption Month. But let us talk about shadow adoption. Shadow adoption. Please let us understand this very well, because a lot of us are already doing the shadow adoption without knowing. But it has some important points that we all must know. So, sister, I'm going to talk about it, and I know that you know the advantages of shadow adoption. You even know about it. But doing my research, there is nothing out there specifically done on shadow adoption, and there has to be a reason why.
You know, right? Because I
Yes.
had a hard time too. I had to really dig and dig, and
So
they were always showing it about animals. So we
yes,
know about that, shy animals and everything. But as it relates to child welfare or a
yes.
regular adoption, there is so little you have to piece it together for yourself. And of course, with all human constructs, there's positive and negative. So go ahead, sis.
Yes, yes. And the reason I'm able to write about this is from my own experience,
Yes,
because
yes,
I experienced that, and other
yes,
children in my village, they experience that, and it is something that runs in our family, and
right.
it is part of our culture, and it is maintained
Right,
because
right,
this
too.
comes from
Right.
the traditional
Yes,
royalty setting, not legally
yes,
written, but for us traditionally, that's our legality right there.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
shadow adoption, shadow adoption is a very beautiful thing if we just do it, knowing why we were created in the first place, knowing what we have been commissioned to do. You will
Mhm.
know that it is so beautiful. We witnessed Chris Samuel talking about how he was scared, but he took a leap of faith and decided to help this 13-year-old, because he realized that there are a lot of kids that are suffering out there and nobody's paying attention. But shadow adoption is such a beautiful thing because it is within the confines of the village. As we all know that it takes the entire village to love, raise, and educate a child. When we base that on that principle, nobody can fail in this aspect. You're going to get enormous joy that
Yes.
you never imagined. Welcome, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm really so happy. Yes. So, shadow adoption is a silent threat, a thread of love that weaves broken families back into the tapestry of hope.
Mm.
Every act of care is a step towards healing and including the unseen. These
Mhm.
children, and even sometimes young people that are unseen, but mostly are the children. So adopting in the shadows, you are adopting in a hidden place, maybe in a cave, in the shadows that you think that nobody is seeing it. Adopting in the shadow means stepping into the lives of the unseen children, the unseen parents of the world, but in this case, mostly children. You are demonstrating that love needs no spotlight to shine its brightest. When
Mhm.
you do this, you don't need any spotlight, you don't need to be known. You just do it because that is the right thing to be done. So when we
Mhm.
embrace shadow adoption, we ignite the light of belonging in
Right.
hearts that thought they will forever remain unseen. When you decide to take in a child, I'll get to the explanation. You are really helping that child to belong in a heart that some people thought, you know what, this child is not going to make it. This child, will never make it. You say it, but you don't do anything to help. So, in the shadows of hunger, illiteracy, poverty, neglect, and despair lies the opportunity for a greater love story.
Mhm.
Shadow adoption is where kindness towards children and others rewrites the lives of these children. So, shadow adoption reminds us that every child deserves a champion, and those champions are you. They are me. They deserve champions like us.
Yes.
And this reminds us that when they deserve a champion, even when the world isn't watching, they still deserve that champion. The world doesn't have to see. I don't have to say, oh, look at us here, one global movement. No, what we are doing here is awareness and giving people the opportunity to decide. You're not forcing, you're not pushing anything if you're doing it for the benefit of humanity. And this is what shadow adoption means in my village. So I dare you, I dare each and every one of you here, everyone, including me, including your family, that you open your heart, your hands, and your home to embrace a child in need of a hug, because it begins with that warm hug. Begin it today so that child knows that there is somebody out there that cares, which means true compassion is adopting hope into spaces where the world may not see, because
Yeah.
but the soul will always feel it. You go into those places because, like right now as we speak, they are children, mostly children, and some adults that nobody knows what they are going through, yet they are living in a community of people that just pass them by. You see somebody limping, or somebody falls, or something falls out of the hand of somebody, you don't even want to help. You just walk past by as though you didn't see it. And I also know that some people, they're in a different mental space that sometimes they don't even hear, they don't even see, because they are also in a different mental space. That's why it's always a good thing to say, "Good morning, good morning. How are you doing today? How did you have a good night's sleep?" Those simple questions are the $1 billion questions that we need to be asking every day, especially to our, beginning with us, our homes, and those around us. So shadow adoption, because love doesn't need an audience, only an open heart and willing hands to hold a child, to even just place a hand here. I am here for you is what matters. When you give a home to those hidden in the shadows, when you give a home to those children and mothers hidden in the shadows, you are creating a future where no child is left behind. You're including them. You're not just including them, you're also giving them choices to know that, well, maybe your parents must have failed you, not because they were willing to fail you, maybe because of an illness, because of death, because of a war, because of any social challenge. But know that I am here for you. In the quiet act of shadow adoption, you and I declare that every child, no matter how hidden, has value, they have purpose, and a family to call their own. They have to call the family their own, and therefore, shadow adoption is proof that even the faintest glimmer, the smallest thing, the tiny little light that you think you cannot see, the tiny little light of care can illuminate a path out of darkness for a child that is calling for help, for a child that is in need. So, what then is shadow adoption according to how I lived it, according to how I experienced it, according to how my family line has carried it out for more than 800 years? And what does it even mean in my village? Because it happens in our village all the time. So, shadow adoption is a term that is not officially defined in adoption or child welfare uh, uh, circumstances. If you see the child welfare in Cameroon, it is written according to the laws of the village. That's why we have that. But it is not really fully defined by those who rewrite or write the stories of the world. And you wonder why. You begin to ask the question, why is it not written? This is such an important concept that it should be written first before real adoption, because shadow adoption does a lot to really narrow the space between those challenges that kids that are adopted into different settings or different customs and traditions. Shadow adoption really helps in that regard. So how is it often used to describe informal or on we want to make sure in my village they use this to describe informal or unregulated adoptions that
Mm-hmm.
occur outside the formal legal system. And this goes through royalty, chieftaincy, and the village, the norms and the laws of the village. So these arrangements may involve families taking in children without going through official adoption process or court proceedings. And this is what happens in my village. I am a child that grew up with too many children that I call my brothers and my sisters today.
Sure.
and that is part of shadow adoption. So shadow adoption can sometimes occur within extended families or communities where children are raised by relatives or close acquaintances within the same cultural system that they are already a part of, within their roots that they are already a part of. So my family and the village where I was born is a typical example of shadow adoption. It is guided by the African spirit that that says it takes an entire village to love, raise, and educate a child. And we all know that it is true. And it applies in every case in the world, not just only in that village, if we can see it in this light. It is also based on the African spirit that says no one knows which child is going to bury them. No one knows which child is going to give them a funeral or a burial, because a child anywhere is a child everywhere. And when we say that it's not to bury, this is metaphorically. You have children, they are your own. You are taking care, you're loving, you're educating these children. But do you know your tomorrow? That is the question. Are these the same children that are going to be to help you, to feed you, to make you comfortable? Do you know? You don't know. I am giving an example with this father that we go and take care. If we don't go, every other day I have to call to check. This father had children. He's 84. He had children. But look at him today. Look at him today. So shadow adoption is something that we want to encourage, but encouraging it, also making sure that these children are going to be taken care of. So the concept of shadow adoption is guided by the African spirit of Ubuntu, which I was raised with. You are existing because somebody else is existing around you. You're driving on good roads, or you're taking transportation on good road because somebody came before you. Somebody did that work for you. So the spirit of Ubuntu says, you are because I am. We all are because God created us just like that. When you go to your left, you come back to the same circle. You go to your right, you come back to the same circle, which means doing good. We are being commissioned to do good in the world, regardless of who or what. But we have to begin with self, and we have to begin with our own children. So this is the beauty of the Ubuntu spirit that I was born with. This principle is guided by the qualities of love. Shadow adoption is guided by the principles of love, togetherness, humility, charity, hospitality, community investment, development, and collective contribution to the future. If we talk about 5 chicks per child, I got this from shadow adoption because that's the way we grew up. When we were 6, 7, 8, we were already trained to raise animal according to what we love to do, and then you sell them, then you start making money. There has never been any given point in my life where I did not know how to do something to get money, especially doing some of those programs, which is part of shadow adoption. And in this case, you're training a child to be self-independent, self-sufficient from a very young age, so they don't have that spirit of dependency or expectancy, expecting things, that thinking that they have the right to things that they've never worked for. You're teaching this child not to be taken advantage of, and the purpose of shadow adoption is really deep, and it is really so beautiful the way they do it. So traditional chieftaincy, quarter heads, we call them chindas in our tradition, the chindas, chieftaincy, royalty, we call them mafos. All of these things I'm calling them in my dialect, but it is all according to the level, the structure of our roots, that this one is here, you have this function, you have this function, but in the end, we are together knowing that we are accountable for one another, so that if you do adopt a child, then we make sure that that child is going to be treated just like your own biological child, and in some cases even more, because remember, most of these children are coming from a broken home. Maybe the father, the mother passed, or maybe something happened, not a fault of their own. So we need to do that. So traditional chieftaincy, mafos, quarterhead, a lot of names that I would not be able to call here traditionally. So how this works is that if I have one child, and now I know that, and you know deep within you that you can really feed this child. This child has food, every day they have food. they have a roof over their head. You are educating this child, and you're making sure that this child seeks the right treatment when they are sick. You're making sure that this child does what they love to do. You are really watching this child, making sure that you know what they want to do, and you are doing that in collaboration with this child. And in this case, in my village, we always come at the end of every month. They come together. Every family will come together. We ask what is going. Do you need help? And help will come in the form of food, because the chieftaincy, the quarterheads, the chindas, and the mafos, they make sure that they bring food that they will give, because food is number one, and the real food, the real good food. So if I have one child, and now I know that I can really take in another child, because I am educating my son, and then it is the tradition that take in one more. Shadow adoption, where everything will be done according to the culture and tradition, and blessed the child and that family. And I will take one more. The essence here is not to seal the relationship between that child and the former family, because that child has uncle, in case where the parents are not there, they have uncles, they have aunties and cousins. You want to be able to maintain that family relationship. But what we are doing is we are extending that child's family to a bigger family, which is a village. If you have 5 and you can take care of your 5 children, take one more. This is just one more. One more is what is required. Before you know, you will not see children in the village who are struggling. So that is a concept, and so you will be able to. And they check to make sure that these children are, because they will see them in school. They have to go to school. They have to be happy. They have to be healthy. They have to feel like these are my parents. I belong here. And it all comes back to us. How are you treating those children? So the rules are pretty strict, like very strict. They check it. We have all these leaders, these traditional leaders, they check it. And sometimes pass the message on the drums to make sure that everybody gets it. So that allows the child to still be in touch with all other friends and their biological family. The adopted family is only an extension. You don't own that child. First of all, we don't own any child here. Children are the heritage of the Lord, but they just gave us and assigned us to take care of these children. So the inherited family is just an extension of that child's family. During and after this period, they can choose to still maintain that family, which in a lot of cases they do, because they never. I have brothers and sisters. I still communicate with them until this day that I grew up with, and of course, many children choose to do so because per the culture, the child is monitored for safety and care, just like the biological child or children of the adopted family. So now, and I know that you guys will know it, because all what we've been discussing here, I pay attention of what comes out of our mouth. A lot of the things that come out of our mouth is the things that come out of our heart. They are the characteristics of shadow adoption. They might not call it so, but there has to be a reason why they don't want to write about shadow adoption, because this is such a very important concept. If it's practiced in ancient Africa, then it is an important thing to do. Go ahead.
It is, but I have a but. But the thing is, I was going to say, the original question you asked, why is it? Because, as I told you, I had a hard time researching it. It was all about animals, pets, and, But then I did, and, I'm a digger, so I digged on and I did find out, and I realized that one of the negativities, because everything that humans do have negativity, but one of the negative things is the child is now subject to abuse. But from what you're saying, it's opposite. There's lots of checks and balances. So and even official adoptions are subject to so you can't use that as a reason for excluding this great shadow adoption. I don't know why. Why do we do that? And it's so good, because the child will be culturally, continuity will be in their bloodline. They won't be adopted from across the ocean, where it's a culture shock, first of all, when they come to places that they don't know. So right. I don't really see a downside with this. Yes. So why isn't it?
Yes.
And why is it so well hidden?
I know why. And we're not going to hide it, because when I took time to write this, and this is something that I wrote long ago because it's part of our family history book. It has
Right.
to be there. You
Right.
got to help, especially my grandfather, who is a chieftaincy, a
Mm-hmm.
huge compound with more than 20 something rooms and living areas
Yes.
and everything,
Yes. Yes.
and even taking some parents that are unable to have land to build their own land. You come and stay, build here, stay, gather your own money, and you go, and then you can help a family that way as well, because he has too much land, and so he helps that way. So, and keep in mind that in every society, no matter how good they are, there has to be that one person that for some reason they'll behave differently.
Of
when you
course.
when you
Of course.
behave differently, that is not for the benefit of these children, and this child, according to the traditional laws, will be taken away from you, and
Of
this child
course.
will be the child of the palace, the
Mm-hmm.
child of the palace, and this child will grow up knowing that those are the
Mm-hmm.
parents. But still, you have the right, because children, whether we suppress it or not, we want that sense of belonging. We want to belong to where
Of
we know,
course. Of course.
and to
Yes.
cut that off, you are really cutting that child off from the greatness that that child was born with. So what
Exactly.
are some of the benefits of shadow adoption to the child? First, to the child, to the culture, and to the community. And
Mm-hmm.
so I know that you guys will know a lot of this here. We can just be contributing, or when I start, you say something, because this concept is not well known. This is something that all of us in the world, everybody should be taught shadow adoption. I believe so. So,
Right.
benefits of shadow adoption to the child. For the child, there is a sense of belonging, which we all know, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to throw light on that? Oh,
Of course, it's almost the first pillar of what children need, because then they feel so secure, and at that point they take things for granted, and so they should until they grow up. And because, I mean, you don't want children to feel that they're a burden or they're not wanted. Or if you start off a child on building on rejection, where are they going to go from that? So the stability that you're talking about, the security, it's absolutely that sense of belonging, love, and stability, especially when they are facing challenges in their biological family or foster care system. They want. I was just watching a movie again last night, because it seems that those movies are coming out a lot too. And this was her own family, but the mother had taken up with somebody else, not the father, and he was trying to abuse her, and the mother didn't even notice. She's so blinded by her own pain. So
mhm,
if that child has a safe space to go, and I mean, just because she might be a teenager or a pre-teenager doesn't mean she's not a child. We're all children still, actually.
of
You know what
course.
I mean? So she needed a safe space to go, and the mom was no help. So thank God there was an uncle, and
Yes.
he stepped in. So, and he adopted her. She stayed there for a long while. So that's informal, as you said. There was never any papers as far as I could see. So that is what you're talking about, and why not?
Yep. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Sister Melanie, do you have anything?
Yeah, for what I know about shadow adoption, like you said, it doesn't have to be a legal,
No.
process.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to take rules and regulation, but we will still stick a little by the rules of this life, like how we respect
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
humans like ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
we can, it's more like similar to an adoption of a family, adoption of a young person, a child. It could be a youth, it could be a younger child. Um, we don't have to have them living with us.
No, we don't.
Adoption, we don't have to. We can look out for that child by doing expenses of that child, like whether it's to buy their school uniform
Yes.
or attending their graduation, to make them proud, knowing that there was somebody else outside the family who cared, right? Put a
Mm-hmm.
smile on their faces and cheer them up.
Yes.
um Things like going, as I mentioned, if they have things going in the community, like we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about being there as a shadow, even in the school when they're having fundraising, they don't know you're there, but you appear, and then they see your face, they light up because they know that there is someone, an auntie, in that case,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a woman, or a big sister who's there. So, shadow adoption is a good thing because you don't have to go through all these papers where you sign and they investigate and all this kind of crap. well, sorry to say it's not craft, but
Okay.
yeah, but it makes it lighter on someone who wants to help. And you do it in secret, but you know you are doing it for the sake of someone else's child or
Mhm.
someone else's youth who's going to attend college, university. You can even join in on, if you have enough, contribute towards their schooling, the fees.
Mhm.
Although soon we're gonna have online schooling when Unpassive comes,
I know.
academic learning. However, I think it's a good thing. I would prefer going more for that than going for the cut papers, because they make it more and more difficult these days.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yes,
So for
And
me,
yeah,
yeah,
you're right. Because
sorry.
all the child really needs is love and a safe space, a
Yes,
loving heart,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
yes.
Or you can extend the child's day by maybe asking the parent. I'm pretty sure by that time they will be trusting you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying that child because they're in your community. You can fly to get that child, right? Except
Yeah.
when you go there.
Mm-hmm.
Take
Yes,
them to the mall for a little session. Take them somewhere where they'll feel joy. You
yes.
look out for them. Take them to the playground when mom or dad is busy, or mom alone or dad alone, because sometimes single, right? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
then watch them play, watch them interact with kids, and then introduce them, things like that.
Mhm.
All
Yep.
these can help in the adoption of a child, you know,
Yeah,
shadowing a child,
Yeah.
yes,
You
yes,
can
adopting
just
that
be,
child.
yeah, you can be a surrogate wherever it's needed because
Yeah.
I mean, I just realized that I think we all come from that in some way or another, especially when we live in big village, big, like in Jamaica. I remember that my parents did that. They didn't always do, they did what you said, sister. Most time the child would not have to come to live with us, but they would sponsor the
yes,
financing of it or
yes,
show up when there was a crisis or when there was something that the parent could not come up with. You know what I mean? So I think it really maybe that's where the things come from that says it takes a village to raise a child because we all are supposed to pitch in it where we can, right? And surrogate,
yes,
and
yes,
and because the child doesn't have to know anything about being a burden, being burdensome. We
That's
should
right.
cover that. You know what I mean? So if
yes.
we the adults are taking care of that, then they don't even know that anything is wrong. It's just a big family, and
Yes.
everything is taken care of. Yeah.
I'm really happy because this we are talking about this shadow adoption because all along I realized that there is a shadow adoption in each and every one of us here.
Absolutely.
Yes, but we had to really bring this out to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
keep in mind that when we say shadow adoption, like you guys say, the child doesn't have to go and live with the family.
No, they
And this
don't.
family can say, like Melanie said, like you said, I am going to be responsible for
But this,
tuition, for the uniform, for shoes, for the backpack.
exactly.
Somehow I've been doing shadow adoption from the United States here, but
Mhm.
those children, the ones that I adopted, 9 of them, they're not living with me. But I have to do it that way. And sometimes uh, it comes to a point where some of the parents they are not able to do those things because things happen, right? And then there is always a program put in place that if somebody let it not be like a burden, and we don't also want the child to feel that they are a burden because they say, oh, I need this for school, I need this, you're not able to buy or you can't feed the children. So there's always a program put in place, which I am part of the program in the village,
Mhm.
because I want to make sure that these children feed. I was doing it every end of the year. That is not to say that these children don't need things throughout the year. But
Yeah.
at the end of
Mhm.
the year, now, because if you send, say, like $1,000 US dollars to
Mhm.
Cameroon, that's a huge
Lot of money.
amount of money.
Yeah.
Imagine a bag of rice, a box of savon, a box of condiments, or this very cheap. A bag of rice is not up to $100.
No, it's not.
The biggest one that you can eat for the next 6 months. So what I do is it's not according to the number of people. Every household, whether you're one, two, or three, has a bag of rice, has a box of this. So shadow adoption, you can do it differently. Like here, when we are talking about coming out with programs, scholarship programs, that is
Mhm.
part of shadow adoption.
Yes, it
You know,
is. Yes,
it's
it
part of
is.
adoption. You talk about secret, in secret, Melanie.
Yeah.
Shadow adoption takes into account the word sacred. Because why sacred? Sacred, SACRED, is linked to divine intervention, the Almighty God. And so it is done with that regard. And the thing is, we have to keep watch over one another because things happen, even us. Now I can be talking, the next day I'm unable to be here. Everyone. So the thing is, it takes a village, an
It
entire
does.
village to really
Does.
love, raise, and educate a child. So shadow adoption provides the child with the nurturing
Yes.
and with a nurturing environment that is part of their roots, where they feel valued, that I belong here, I was born here, I come from here, this is my culture. They feel valued, they are loved, and they're included. A lot of these kids, like cultural shock, like you say, that's what happens. And you see
Yes.
this child, they are growing, they are an adult, something is missing that they themselves don't know what it is. And those that were adopting them for good, they were doing good thing by adopting a child.
Yes.
They
Yes.
themselves cannot figure it out either. But this is
Yeah.
what it is. If we can just focus on that, that would be something beautiful. Giving that child emotional stability, the consistent care and guide from shadow adoption can really help foster
Yes.
resilience and healing from past traumas. The child,
Yes.
like my mom is here. She does not like it here at all. The only reason she's here because she has so many health challenges.
And she's
And
getting good here. Yes.
brother
Yes.
passed, nobody to really take good care of her. And
Mhm.
oh, I want to go home. I want to go to where I was born.
And can you, but we're laughing, but can you imagine that for a child? And as you said, from overseas, a foreign adoption here, you can imagine the person that adopted this child might have good intentions, but the first thing they're going to want to do is try to force assimilation on them. And that's
Yes,
the worst thing you can do, because
yes,
assimilation should be voluntary.
yes,
When
yes,
you grow up, you should be able to say, oh, yeah, I'm good here. Like, I am quite okay in North America and Canada. I was born in West Indies, in Jamaica.
yes,
And I go there like a tourist on holidays. That's the truth. Because I have no family left there. They're all up, in England or Germany. We know how we travel all over the place and here. So
yes,
when I go, I'm just seeing it with the eyes of a tourist. Beautiful country, you know that. But the
yes,
thing is, that's my choice.
yes,
I've chosen to do that. But when you bring a little child here, you should really, it's like putting everything around them that they can know. And it takes time and say, this is your culture, not because you're forcing them to accept anyone, but this is where the adoption and those kinds of things have a missing place there. There's a gap
that's
because
a,
I mean, you don't want them children to be starting from less than ground zero. And now they miss their whatever they had, no matter how bad it was. They miss it, their culture at least, especially
yes,
from warm times to here. And so I think it's really, really great if we would learn more about shadow adoption so children could stay where, not I wouldn't say where they belong, but where they are created then.
yes. I support what you're saying. Assimilation should be a choice, and assimilation is a good thing.
It
Imagine,
is.
I know I was grow up speaking Meta, which is my parents' tongue. And
Right.
now I have to be educated, then I learn more language. That's assimilation. And then
Yeah.
now I move to the United States. It's a choice because
It's a
I
choice.
know how to choose it. We
Yes.
congratulate all of the people that are really going, stretching their
Absolutely.
hands across the sea to really
Yes.
help those children that are suffering.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing that is missing. They don't understand. No matter how rich you are, if you bring a child into a very rich environment without gradually training that child, you already destroyed that child. I have lived an example here where I used to live before, and this family they went to Africa to adopt two boys, and
Mhm.
when they brought these boys here, they did not understand, because you need to learn about the culture of that child before you even try to adopt a child.
That's
you know
right.
they did not quite understand, because I think adoption most of the time is done for the sake of money. Yes.
Yes, of
And
course. Yes.
so this one of the boys, they were so friendly with my son, but one of them, you know naturally says, I want to be treated like an African child. I don't want to eat this kind of food. Please, begging, crying. And this thing was traumatizing this child, but the people were not getting it. Now they say he's
Yeah. Yeah.
no, no, that's not the case. Until this boy left home, is struggling for himself, doing things the way they want. So they came to me and said, can you stay with him? And I'm like, I said, no, no. This child is not the only child that is stubborn in your home. Your own biological child is worse than this child. How is it that this child is then the worst at home? No. And even so, you are being paid to take care of this child. And I'm not even going to have you say, oh, I'm going to pay you. No, no, I don't want that. You need to learn about this child. You are different. I am different. This child is different. Let's respect these differences. This is even with shadow adoption. We are in the same village, speaking the same language, the same cultural values, but home values are sometimes different. Even the values that we are born with, you have a gift. You're different from me. We say we have water gift. All of us here in One Global Movement, we are working towards feeding, and feeding cannot go without the components that goes with feeding, cooking, water, and all those, including housing. But the way you do it is different. The way I do it is different. And we need, when we begin to respect these differences, then we will not find children in the world that will be labeling, calling them, or putting them on medication, or saying that this child is bad, this child is that. But it comes from the heart. It really comes from the heart.
Absolutely.
So, yes. And we talk for the community. There are a lot of points to be spoken for the child, because the child development of the skills, the child really learns essential skills such as empathy, responsibility, social integration, and self-independence, because self-independence is one of the gifts after love to be given to any child that goes through shadow adoption in my village. You see a child is 8, 9, 10 years old, they already have money, because they started very young training them how to do this thing. They trained me. I live with so many parents, but they trained me how to be self-sufficient. My uncle even told me, my wealth is not your wealth, but you have what it takes to really work for your own wealth. And we talk about identity and purpose. Being supported in a safe and loving environment. Do you know what that means to a child? It helps a child build a positive self-identity and a sense of purpose, with pride and dignity, to say, I am happy, I am black and beautiful, I am white and beautiful, I am yellow and beautiful, I'm green and beautiful, without somebody coming to brainwash somebody to say, no, you are less of a human being. So our children are suffering all of those things. So, but what is the importance for the community? For me, I say reduction in vulnerabilities. Reduction in vulnerabilities. Shadow adoption helps reduce homelessness. When you're homeless, you're vulnerable a lot. People take advantage of the homeless people on the street. Some are beaten, some are raped, and then child labor too is also eliminated, because when children are vying for survival, nobody to help them. What do? Somebody would take a 5, 6-year-old and really give them work that is not meant for that child. And then exploitation by providing support is also eliminated. It is eliminated. And the community, it builds like stronger community ties. The community know, oh, we need to go on this day. We call it Ngong. And the day of my father's thing is Ngong. They go there, everybody's coming. When the drums start, it's like you're going to somewhere that is so important. You see people are coming, and then the traditional dances, everything will be going on. The children are happy, everybody's involved. I miss that. So I'm trying to do something that would train my brothers and my cousins. We adopt that and bring it here to the United States, so that because it comes with a blessing for everyone that is involved, including the children. So, reduction in that vulnerability, and the stronger ties and community. When children are nurtured and supported, they often grow into productive members of society, enriching the community. Most of these children adopted through shadow adoption, they do the community work a lot. They don't care. They do it. They help. They'll go to the farm. When they see these mothers coming from the farm with those baskets on their head, they take them. They carry them and they go. And do you know the kind of blessing that you get when you do that?
True.
When you have somebody on the street, don't say, oh, this person is homeless or is crazy. They are giving you a blessing, and it works. So shadow adoption is a very beautiful thing. We talk about a culture of care. Shadow adoption fosters community ethos of collective responsibility and compassion. You're not going to maltreat this child and you think that we are here in one global movement. I'm not going to say something that you guys don't hold me responsible, because then you guys are also responsible for the wrong thing that I've done. You guys are not going to do something without me saying something. If I don't say it, then I am really responsible for that thing too. But saying it in such a way that you are including everybody, you're making
Mhm.
people feel that they matter, they belong, that they are loved, that we are members of a community. And so a lot of things, if you guys have anything you can add, otherwise we can also talk about the moral and spiritual benefits of a shadow adoption.
Yes. So for shadow adoption, sisters and the people in the chat, um, it doesn't have to take one person. I always like the teamwork thing. I am a
Yes,
big team player.
yes.
So shadow adoption doesn't necessarily have to be one person. You could have three people in the family, two people in the family, or friends, and you can vouch for that child, or maybe a group of children, maybe free equals free, and
Hmm.
then do whatever necessary effort it takes. Like that child, a child could be a youth going to enter into college, university. They don't know how to fill the forms. Right there, you play a shadow support. Okay, you give support. You
Yes.
sit with that child and you help them to fill the form, because sometimes when I first came here, I needed help with certain forms because every question they ask, even that of group, whatever group you belong, and I was answering it until I did a portfolio at school twice at college. And then the instructor said you do not have to give all that information. This is just the way they look at things, but you don't have to answer to it all. That's when I realized, oh, I did not have to put no, yes, I belong to this. No, that's nobody's business. So you can help shadow a child by helping them with those forms, going to the community with them, like in the college itself, when they have that time when they sit with a social worker, depending on what they want to do as a program or course.
Hmm.
Just sit with them. You don't have to be talking on their behalf, but sit there. And if there's anything, you can kind of knock them off, and they know when to stop. You
Yep.
know. And another thing, Sister Yvonne, I know you always mention the chicks. Buying the little chicks.
Yes.
Shadow adoption comes in there, like they're overseas, they're international, where you cannot reach them, but you can socially adopt them too by
Yes.
sending them that little gift to start with free chicks, whatever chicks, 6 chicks.
Hmm.
And then the intern, you just tell them to, when it multiplies, maybe share it for another one.
There you
Teach
go.
them. We teach them. As Ash always says, we don't just give, we teach them how to fish,
Hmm.
right? We teach them how to fish. So in educating them, in helping them, we also show them what they can do. And we all know that, right?
Right.
And as for shadowing and adoption, I think I've shadowed and a shadow adopt a lot of children already. I did that already, not realizing
What it was
that's what I
called.
was doing.
I was gonna say the same thing. I said I
Yeah.
must have been doing this for ever since I started doing any kind of donation and charity thing, because some of the groups I'm telling Sister Mundih about, like Kiva, they
Yeah.
have the animal program, the sheep, the chickens, the this. And I've always been, the loans are very low, like $25 in Canadian loan. But
Yes.
when it goes to those countries, the Central American, it goes very far. And then you get reports. So it's,
Yes.
look where I am in Canada, all the way over there. So it doesn't have to be in your backyard. It's just a rose by any other name is just as sweet, because
And
Yes.
you can,
we didn't know it was called that, shadow
right.
adoption.
You
Yeah,
can shadow adopt a group of children, a whole group,
yeah,
Hmm.
you can.
singular or with more. Again,
Hmm.
Sister Yvonne Finn said it doesn't take much.
It does
Like
not.
Christmas, around the Christmas time, and not only Christmas time, but they're doing something. You keep in touch with that one particular person, but you have to know who you're dealing with, though.
You do, of course.
A particular person in the Philippines, for example, I know through the church. I don't want to go in there because I don't like to see what I'm. But then Christmas time, they have a little children's party.
Hmm.
You shadow adopt. You
Yes,
sponsor that event, and they in
educate.
turn will send you a picture of what they're doing with the leader, the person you spoke with who is running that little thing,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Little
Yeah, yeah,
event. And the next time they're having something, you just keep in touch. This is all what we can do as citizens of this world and as
Exactly.
sponsors of adoption, shadowing in
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of ways throughout our community and throughout the world. We can do it. We
Yes.
don't have to do the whole world, but at least if we have 2 or 3, we know we are playing our part.
Yes.
Uh, yeah.
I have a quote just for what you just said. It says, "The world may not change if you adopt one child, but for that child, their world will change." And I don't even know who
Yes.
said that. It's by unknown, and it's
Yes.
true. We've been doing that system one day. I guess we just didn't know what the name was.
No, that's why I said from the beginning, a lot of people are probably doing it without knowing, and that shadow adoption comes from creation. It comes
Yes.
with and from creation, which is something that we all need to practice. But because of the way that the world is going and things are going, sometimes people lose touch of that natural aspect of themselves,
Yes.
And we understand that, not blaming anybody, we all do. Everyone does. Even those that go out there and commit crimes or do things, they have it. It's just one thing or the other. Sometimes they're not paying attention to their situation. They go and they veer off course and they do things that are not okay. And let us talk a little bit about, there are a lot of other points, but let's talk a little bit about the moral and spiritual benefits of shadow adoption. According to my culture, it promotes traditional and bloodline justice and equity.
Ah, okay.
Yes, it promotes that, because then you can break a law or traditional law, especially when it is such a big thing in my village. You cannot maltreat a child. You cannot just be beating a child anyhow. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take the time, because we grow by falling, we grow by doing things and then getting up again, just like a toddler. They're trying to walk, they fall, they cry, they do it again, they do it again. And so we need to give them that chance to do it again, without saying, oh, you this child, you're a bad child, you're this. No. When you keep telling those words to a child, that's exactly what they're going to take. So shadow adoption in the village ensures that every child has a chance to thrive.
Yes.
Every child, regardless, reflecting fairness and humanity. And then it also fulfilling social responsibility. That's
Mm-hmm.
another moral thing. By uplifting a child, individuals, you and I, because you guys are already doing it,
Mm-hmm.
individuals ensure that every child has a chance to do something. That by uplifting a child, individuals and communities fulfill a moral obligation, a moral duty to care for the vulnerable, which is what we all are called to do. Children
Yes.
are mostly vulnerable, women are vulnerable, so we need to do that. So creating a positive role model. Imagine, we always say it starts from us, you and me. It creates a positive role model. The act of shadow adoption, it demonstrates integrity and inspires others to adopt similar values. And do we all know that shadow adoption is a blessing? It's always a blessing when you're taking care of a child. So building a legacy of kindness, helping a child not only to impact their lives, but sets a precedent for future generations to act with compassion. You just said that with the 5 chicks per child program or so, when those children they do it now, they are increasing their bank account, also increasing their bonds or their chicken.
Yes.
Now they
Yes.
can learn, borrow one chick or two to another child of their own. We let them choose, because they, with the values that we are teaching, they will see and say, oh, I know this child or this family in my community where I can also call and help the child.
Yep.
And let's put our fingers crossed. We're trying to build that commercial chicken coop, so that those that don't have space, they
Mm-hmm.
there during the weekend or during the holiday. But we want
Yes.
these children to know that nothing is for free. When people are working on your chicks Monday through Friday, when you sell those chicks, try to appreciate those people by paying a little something. That is to train them that they don't have that mindset that things are for free, that they are
Right.
entitled to things. So what's
Absolutely.
the spiritual benefit? So many aligning with divine principles.
Yes.
This really keeps you grounded and you can feel it, you're happy. Shadow
Mm-hmm.
adoption reflects value of love, mercy, and stewardship. which emphasizes is emphasized in many spiritual traditions, and we have scriptures for that. I didn't put the scriptures here, but we have scriptures for that, because shadow abduction in the village doesn't go without what comes from God. The scriptures are always there. And then the blessings and fulfillment. Providing for a child's need is often seen as a sacred, SACRE, the sacred act that attracts divine blessings and inner peace. I feel so peaceful whenever I do that. I just be happy and be crying with
I know.
and I know you guys are doing the same too, because you and all these activities that you're doing, you are supporting clean water supply. When you drink water, do you know the kind of happiness that you feel when you just swallow good water? You know, the kind of that we are talking about, not looking at the big things up there, or the Hollywood, oh, I want to be a star. You'll be a star by doing these things. You'll be so happy with yourself. And then we talk about growth in compassion. Caring for another person deepens empathy and strengthens spiritual character.
It does.
I bet you a lot of us here, as we are speaking, the ones in the chat, you read the chat all the time, you know, these are good people. These are people that have been highly blessed and favored. We know those things because we see them here. And coming from Mr. Ash Mufari himself is a very spiritual being.
He is.
Very spiritual being. He talks about the man up there. He talks about you cannot uplift somebody without a good heart. That's exactly a blessing, and it is spiritual, very highly spiritual. We can't even raise children. You can't even shadow adopt a child or shadow a child without that spiritual fulfillment within you. How are you going to do it? How can you raise a child without knowing that we were all created by the most powerful being? I don't think it can exist. Me myself, I'm surviving today because of the power of the Creator. Otherwise, I'm not supposed to be here today. So it's such an important thing that we need to really, really inculcate in everything that we do. So growth in compassion, connection to a greater purpose, which we are talking about, is God. A shared journey of healing. You're healing yourself and also healing the child. The child might be and not have the parents there, or maybe because of death or something, but you taking care of that child. You also have some things that are bothering you, that you go by taking care of that child. That child is a healer to you, and you are healing at the same time. Before you know, both of you are healing, and then you start dancing in the rain and be so happy that you did something. So shadow adoption exemplifies a profound act of love and humanity, bridging the gap between individual care and collective upliftment in a traditional setting, in even a community town setting, in a national setting, world setting, like we are doing, because we all are already doing it with lasting benefit for all involved. So there are so many advantages, culturally, community, to the child, to us all. There's so many. So I'm glad that we all are already doing the shadow adoption. That's the thing. We are already
thank you for giving it a name, because we didn't have a name for it. We were just doing it, so that's good.
No, it's I tried to coin it from what I was taught. I said, but what is it in Meta? Number one. I'm speaking. So then I started. I've been doing this for a long time. The things are not coming, but now shadow. Shadow.
Yes.
So then I came out.
Okay, so you're going to welcome your guests now and say hello, and I'm going to dash because I have a phone call I want to return.
No problem.
Okay, so we'll talk later. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let us welcome our audience. Thank you guys so much for being here again today, and we highly appreciate all of you here. The managing director is here. Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Barilla, for being who you are for children and young women and boys too worldwide. So hello everyone from him. Let me put it on the screen here. Hello, everyone. As usual, welcome all of you to One Global Movement Speak with Heart today. Please feel free to contribute to the conversation here in chat or go get the link and join panel. Thank you so much, John. We are discussing about shadow adoption today. Feel free to participate by typing your comments and thoughts here in the chat or go get link and join the panel. Thank you. Hello, David. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We highly appreciate you. And please don't forget, all of you, to put the big thumbs up as always. Thank you, David, for being a part of our conversation here. And what did I do? Oh, it looks like the screen kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Hello, our brother Srijit. How are you? Thank you so much for being with us here today, sir. Happy holidays to you and your family. And of course, Nancy is here with us today. Thank you so much, Nancy, and happy holidays to you as well and your family. And let's go down here. Of course, our beautiful sister Melanie is here. I left you a message on WhatsApp. Don't forget to check that message, okay?
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah. And we have Sir Jivan Turkey. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for being with us here today and supporting us as always. We highly appreciate you. We have Otampa Pri, the beautiful little girl. Happy holidays. How are you? Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today. And let's go down here. And we have Samhuash Patil, we miss you, but you're here today. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We highly, highly appreciate your contribution and your support for children and women worldwide. And let's go. We have Kusha, my little brother. How are you? You are missing, but thank God you are here. I know that you're a busy young man and you're doing the best, and you're also helping behind the scene. So thank you so much. We just want to know that you all are doing okay. When we say we are missing you all, or how are you doing? We just want to make sure that everyone is doing okay. But we are always putting our hands together in prayers for everyone. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today. Hashtag One Global Movement. And we have Sir Manoj Jain. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining us again. We highly appreciate your heartfelt contribution towards children and young people of the world. Thank you so much, sir. And we have Sir Didi Depok Dash. Happy holidays. How are you? Thank you so much for being with us again today. And thank you for being that support that our children need in the world. Thank you so much. And we have hashtag shadow adoption, hashtag cultural continuity, hashtag love for all. Yes, it is a cultural continuity. Thank you so much, Yvonne. And we have Sir Giri Malapala. How are you, sir? Excuse me. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We highly appreciate you. I'm burping. I just keep drinking tea because it's so cold here.
That's okay. It's all good.
Thank you so much, sir. We highly appreciate you for your support and your love for children. And of course, we have our big brother, Sir A.P. Mahusadan. Thank you so much, sir, for your love and your support. And thank you for taking care of those beautiful little girls in your home and in your heart. Thank you so much. And Nancy says, yes, Dr. Mundih, this is a legacy for my family. My grandparents did it. My parents did it. And now we are doing it. It's such a beautiful tradition by knowing you have an extended family, but they house you, right? Yes, everybody is. And even here in the United States, I see that through people. But because of the way that the society is orientation, some of those cultural values are shifting. And if you go to even in Cameroon, I bet you in the city, because the so-called civilization, when it's growing, people tend to forget those very important cultural values. But we here, I was born with that. I grew up with that. I was nurtured, raised with that. I don't think we're going to forget because we are already doing it. Even though it doesn't have a name, but now it has a name, shadow adoption. Next time, I'm sure we're going to come here with more beautiful stories of what we are doing because we are doing it together now. So, Sir AP saying hello to everyone here. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us again. And many of us have not even heard of this concept, let alone thinking to do something to participate in shadow adoption. Shadow adoption, I went out yesterday. We had a One Global Movement appointment, and it was with a lawyer. And So I was telling the lawyer about what the kind of programs that we are doing, and more programs are still going to come. And the lawyer was so happy. He said, these are the kind of people that I want. And he said, I should invite him here to come and talk to children.
Oh, how nice.
Yes. And he said, I have my kids. If you start that chicken program in Cameroon, I want to send these kids. I will sponsor them. Of course, they have to sponsor their children. They go with you to Cameroon. You go and teach them right there on ground, and they're doing it. And then you can take them to other areas, like to the zoo. You take them to the, I don't want to go to the beach because I don't want children who don't know how to swim to go there. To other beautiful areas. It's like something that we're going to be doing yearly. Maybe we choose every country. We are going to Canada. What are the good places in Canada? We come there. We choose Rwanda. What are the good places in Rwanda? United States. We do it all over to make children to bond with one another, and therefore also learning the culture. Because shadow adoption, when you adopt a child under the shadows, you want to also learn a different culture and the way of life so that you can interact with more children around the world. So I was so happy yesterday. So Serepi says, adoption is good if the adopter is kind and enough to give him. Some shadow adoption is good to provide education and health to the needy. Some of the good results are seen through this. Yes. That's exactly what Melanie was saying, Sir AP, that you don't have to bring the child in your home if you don't have space, but you can shadow adopt by paying the tuition or buying the school uniform or doing something, but still out of your home to make that child feel comfortable. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. And greetings, Queen Nancy, Jody, and some of us have families who did shadow adoption without knowing the name. I just tried to find the name, from what my grandparents were teaching me, and I said I come up with the word shadow adoption. Yes. And absolutely, Sir AP. Now, most of the religions running schools and charity running schools in India is having lots of children having support through it. Yes. And, even here in our country here, Sir AP, in the United States, we need to step in and help. Lots and lots of children don't have a place right here in this country, in the midst of plenty. There are a lot of them. Until you seek to want to help, you have the heart, you will not see them. You just think these are hopeless children. What are they doing? And they will start labeling them. But in every country, it is there. It is there. So let us all step in. And Nancy says, I have brothers and sisters all over. If we're doing family reunion, they are all included. It's a good thing you help take care of the child, but the child still stays home with their parents. Yes. That's good. Seipi says, it is also noticed that some of the missionaries running schools in many countries, including USA, is through shadow adoption. Wow, that's nice. But they don't bring it out. I don't know why. But I know that with everything, there's always a reason, a good or not so good a reason behind it, but there are always good reasons. But now we know. And shadow adoption, let us all remember that the most important thing is to make sure that the child stays within their cultural values. Because when you take away somebody's identity, you have destroyed that person for life. Every culture is beautiful. That's why we have beauty in diversity. Melanie brings her own, I bring my own. Mr. John Barilla, AP, Nancy, we come together. It makes it more beautiful. Then we are expanding shadow adoption that way. Even within the same culture, there's still that difference that we must respect, which is good. And then as Sir AP is talking about UNICEF, is one of the biggest institutions doing a lot of work through this type of involvement of charity. Yes, I know about UNICEF. And let us all make sure that when we are doing everything, we make sure we read and really know what they are doing before we get involved, because many things out there is out for money, and not for real love. So we need to know that. And then families don't forget to press, okay. Nancy, right? The family, don't forget to press the big thumbs up. Subscribe if not yet done. So turn on the notification bell, share with families and friends. Hello, good time. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here. We highly appreciate you. Greatness in you, self-esteem, very much so. These are things that must go with shadow adoption as well. Thank you so much. And we are made by God. Of course, we all are beautiful. Dare I say perfect, just like He made us. These are things that we need to declare and decree upon our lives. Because if you don't declare and decree upon your life that I am made beautiful, that I'm a child of the Most High God, that I was born for greatness, that I'm going to do great things in the world, nobody's going to do it. You can go to the pastor, it's a good thing, but the pastor is not you. It starts with you taking your own mouth and your heart, decreeing that to yourself, decreeing it to your family, your children, even the children that you are shadowing. It's very, very important. Thank you so much, sir. And see, hashtag celebrating children. Thank you so much, Yvonne, even though you're gone. And thank you, John Barilla. Thank you, everyone here. I am glad that every day we are discussing about the importance of involvement in society and thinking about needy people suffering in the society. Yes. And it starts from our homes, our families, and our community. And then we start moving outward. And that's what we are doing here. Thank you so much, sir. And hashtag accountability. Yes. Together, we can make a difference, a lot of good results. Togetherness is one of the points we are earning through the motto of Unpassive and One Global Movement. Unpassive in particular. Unpassive because you can never bite the finger that fed you. We will be paying tribute to Unpassive forever because without Mr. Ashmufara, this kind of human resource, I've never experienced it in the world. This is the first step towards wealth and prosperity, is bringing this kind of human resource together from the heart is what we are here. May God continue to bless Mr. Ashmufara and his family and those that are helping him, the builders, the technicians, and all of us here that are bent on staying behind him forever. And for me, I will, because without him, I would not know this beautiful face on the screen here, Melanie Mukamugema. I would not know you guys on the chat here. So it is Mr. Ashmufara. And the more we bless him, the more blessings we're going to have. So thank you so much, Sir AP. I really love when you contribute. Hello, Rachel. How are you? We miss you. Thank you so much that you're here today. You're back. You took a long, long vacation, but thank God you're back here. Thank you so much, Rachel. And Nancy says, even in a regular family, everyone is different. We have to learn from each other's differences and respect them and love them for who they are. One thing that I was going to say, shadow adoption, because I'm teaching my son and he's already doing the same, is to bring in children and teach them musical instrument, especially the piano, because he is an expert. He plays even in worship teams in churches. And we're going to, since they don't want us to be using people's music because it's copyrighted, I think he's going to play something for One Global Movement that would be like the background recording sound, so that we are not using some other people's sound for music. So that would be nice. So yes, and yes, children come with math to higher math concept. You can shadow adopt children that way by bringing them together to play, to do those things. And some children come here a lot of ways, Melanie, and thank God that we discuss these things, because we're not only thinking that you have to take that child into your home, but you can do it differently as well.
Yeah.
And let's go down here. Thank you so much, Rachel. We miss you, sister, and we are happy to have you here. And Dr. Mundih and the team, you are doing a great job to think something everyone should understand and take responsibility and accountability. Thank you so much, Sir OP. I think you are a great pillar behind here, because you had contributed and you're always contributing, even on stage or backstage. And this is what we are talking about. Mr. Ashmufara says, stick together with what you can do, and not everywhere that you can go. Then you choose and pick what your head can take, what you can do. You stick with it and take it piece by piece, little by little. The quote that Sister Yvonne said that when you adopt, you might not make a difference when you adopt one child, but you are making that. I don't know that quote, but I'll go back and take a look at it again and listen to it. You are making a difference in that child's life to make even a difference in many more lives. So I'm doing it in my own, but that's what she was trying to say there. And here's the link again. Every day, go just like it. This is part of shadow adoption. You're liking it because you're attracting resources to these children. We need every resource, even if it's a penny. It starts with a penny. I'm just saying, not just a penny, your voice, the backpacks, the pens, the papers, books. We need medicine. We need everything. You see me, I've been gathering medicine bottles for more than 10 years, because in some hospitals, I take it from my village. Some hospitals in some areas, they don't have medication bottles, and they put them in envelopes. They can get wet, they can expire quickly, and that is not good. And those medications, kids can jump on them, and then they take them. They don't know. So it's good to put them in these lock bottles. I have them all over. I have some of them here. Like, I can show you guys. I just gathered them because these we can reuse them. We can recycle them. They are all, you see, we see them like they are nothing. But this is one of the best things that you can do for especially today's area. And when time comes, we're going to be learning, because I know we learn about the countries, we carry the research, which areas can we go there to help the most. We start with those areas that are so much in need of those kind of things. And our John says, please give One Global Movement a big thumbs up and subscribe and click on the notification bell for notification, and also spread the word about our bro, right? Which bro? You, me? Am I a brother? Okay, thank you, John. Thank you. And greetings. Great job through discussion. Our mindset is something for tomorrow's world required. Integrity of humanity, which Ash wishing without any dissemination. We all are those Mother Teresa's he dreamt. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. And let's go down here. Mr. John Barilla says, hashtag One Global Movement, world changes, hashtag world changes, hashtag One Global Movement, hashtag unpassive, hashtag unpassilicious. And I don't know how our big brother is doing, our big brother of Global World Changers, John. How is he doing? I need to really find out, because he doesn't reply to things. I hope he's doing okay. But we are all praying for everyone. Hashtag One Global Movement, hashtag unpassive. Once upon a time, I also involved and done shadow adoption, but now I became a single parent and getting support from unknown in school. Yes. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for taking care of those children single-handedly. So we're going to celebrate you again next year for being a single parent, but we celebrate you every day, and others too. Thank you so much. And oh my God, there's still a lot here. A little more. Hello, Brenda Sings. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us here. We highly, highly appreciate you. We love you as well. And David says, children are the future. Literally, they need to be protected, nurtured, educated, and guided in a positive direction. We will reap what we sow. We must do better. Thank you. We are reaping. Look at us here from On Passing. We are reaping the goodness of Mr. Ash Mufara, because we took the time to sow it the way he directed us to do.
Yeah.
And there, look at what is here. And many more great things are still to come. So let us continue on that great footing. Thank you. Prayers and love to all here. Children are the essence and assets of tomorrow's world. Love between each other is losing in societies, need to be reclaimed. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Let's listen to our elders. Okay. My culture says you cannot see, even when you stand on the tallest chair, you can never see what an elderly person will see if they are sitting down. That means we listen, we learn from them, because they know what they are talking about. It's not about getting a degree from a school. It's about the experience and the lessons that I've learned, and now they are teaching us just like this. So thank you so much, Sir AP. We highly appreciate you for that. And big thumbs up. Thank you, Melanie. Please, I'll ask that you give the closing remarks here again. Thank you so much.
Right. I have a good closing remark such as evil. When I say evil, that doesn't mean people are doing evil to each other, but evil has a chance of spreading vast and wild, whilst good people do nothing. So if you get the sense out of that one, Sister Yvonne? Unless we stand up to do something together as a community, wherever we are around the world, it will be the same.
Yes.
So that's the evil part of it. So what we know, our experiences such as adoption, shadow adoption, we share it with our family or friends so that it can catch on. So they see what you're doing, and that person will take on what you're doing and say, oh, that's a good thing. I never thought of that. And maybe they were doing it already, but they will do more of it. And then it passes on.
Yes.
So once we start somewhere, we share our experiences, our story, and we have another person that we affect with what we are doing. And it goes on, and that's how we help in the end, in the process. So let's all do our part. It starts from small. One child,
at a time.
One youth, whatever it takes to be a personal shadow adoption. Is responsibility, and we are advocates. We know that already. Plus, we are leaders, so why not do our part?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you
Welcome.
for that beautiful, beautiful closing remark. I thank God we're praying for one another and truly, truly praying from the heart. And I wish you guys a happy holidays. I know that some people don't celebrate Christmas. That's okay. But New Year is a must for me, because really ushering me into the new year is such a beautiful thing. But what we do with that new year all depends on you. It depends on me. It depends on all of us. But as for us who descended from Unpassive, we're going to keep doing the great thing that Mr. Ash Mufaro brought to us and take it to all corners of the globe. So we love you all. And tomorrow we'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Love you to save one. Goodbye, all.
Bye. Thank you.
Welcome.